It's a pretty festive day here, Martin. We just had Coptic Christians holding hands with Muslims up at the front of the stage here and holding aloft a cross and a Quran side by side. Evangelical Christians also singing Christian songs on stage with a band. A remarkable show of solidarity between two faiths after some violence erupted between Muslims and Christians in Egypt last December. Meanwhile, you still have an interesting change here. Rather than the running battles against supporters of the Mubarak regime, now what you have is outside the barricades that encircle and protect this opposition enclave in the heart of Cairo. Now you have demonstrators who are maintaining vigils seated outside the barricades. They were there all night. Why? Because they formed a human chain to stop the Egyptian military from being able to come in here in force. The reason, I asked them, take a listen to what one Egyptian demonstrator had to say. Take a listen.
To prevent this, to move, to go inside, to open area.
And you can see there he was pointing to the people who had surrounded an Egyptian military armored personnel carrier. Now, why some of the distrust? One reason might be, Martin, because the military, though it claims to be neutral in this tug of war, this political standoff between the demonstrators and Hosni Mubarak, their military secret police have been detaining people. I've spoken to about a half dozen people already who have been arrested, journalists, human rights activists whose offices have been raided. Some of the journalists describing being their film being confiscated by the military. It suggests it is not taking, behind the scenes, a very neutral role. They're trying to prevent images and independent observers from emerging and being able to monitor what is taking place here and around the rest of the country. Martin?
That's interesting, Ivan. I wondered, have you heard whether the vice president has actually had this meeting with members of the Muslim Brotherhood, as they've been saying would happen today?
It was scheduled to take place 2 hours ago. We haven't been able to check back in with the Muslim Brotherhood, but that is a change. This is one of the larger opposition groups, established opposition groups, even though it's officially banned here. And the fact that they came out and said they're willing to sit down with him and even suggested that Hosni Mubarak could stay for days or potentially weeks shows a softening of their position and that they are perhaps more open to compromise. And we've seen some of the other secular liberal political parties yesterday also sitting down for talks as well with Omar Suleiman. The people here, though, they've told me, we do not trust this regime. We do not trust Hosni Mubarak. We're going to stay here until he resigns. Martin?
And Ivan, quickly, we've been hearing reports of life starting to get a bit more normal there in the capital. Have you seen that?
Well, I've been within the enclave, which is a completely different world. I mean, you've had thousands of people camping out here. You have this strange, I don't know how to describe it, except that people speak in idealistic terms of revolution and all different economic classes here and professions and faiths. So it's this strange, almost utopian bubble that has emerged where people are doing sidewalk art now. Out in the streets in the rest of the capital, we have had word that some of the banks have opened, that they have limited the amounts of cash you can transfer out to try to prevent a run on the banks. For instance, a limit of a maximum of $10,000. The stock market, another barometer of normality in this country, is to remain closed until at least tomorrow, we're hearing.
Well, that's interesting, Ivan. Obviously, an attempt to try to stop the flow of cash racing out of the country. Ivan Watson with CNN. Thanks very much.